All right, guys, welcome in to another episode of the GameState Podcast. Your hosts here today, our man, Tunable Power, and myself, Madam Wrecked. We are short a man this week. Chicken Neck was unable to attend the podcast, but he will be back now in the future week. We on this week are a little dry on news, but we are going to take our best swing at other topics that are still relevant. We've got a ton of trailers that have come out from third-party games. We've got some trailers that are coming out for movies that are kind of around the film or the game industry, and of course at the end we'll go ahead and hit up our favorite deal of the day. Let's start. So coming into this week, we have kind of skimmed over the fact that we've never really talked about ourselves much. Again, we've never done an introduction for who we are and kind of what brought us together. I figured, we should start off by letting you guys know a little bit about ourselves. So, for myself, again, hi, I'm Madam Wrecked. I stream on Twitch. I also put out products on TikTok and YouTube and all the other fine social media you might find yourselves on. And I myself do a lot of music streams and obviously background in gaming. Sometimes you see me throw a couple streams together for games that we like to do, whether they're, Diablo or, whatever is relevant at the time. I like to just kind of play around. But going into it, Tunable, tell them about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Tunable Power. I am a very, very weathered veteran of gaming. Been gaming since about 1986, 87. So I've been around the block and as far as gaming, but I also streamed on Twitch. I stream all these consoles back here. This is the reason I started. I made a collection of every game console about made, and I wanted to show them off on Twitch so people can see the history of gaming. That's the reason I like it. That's exactly why I want to do it. I wanted to play it on the original console so people can witness what it looked like when it was played back when it was released.
It's nice seeing that. Again, you play a lot of games, and again, not using emulators and stuff. Having you bring out all those consoles is always a sight to see for these people that have never had a chance to see them from over the course of the last 30 years.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell is that? And it's a Panasonic 3DO, man. Never heard of it? No.
What's that? Did your mom have one?
But I also do stuff on YouTube, TikTok every now and then. Yeah. I just love gaming. I mean, I used to skateboard back in the day. I used to be pretty damn good at it. Got too old. My board's sitting over there still. It's on the wall. I might do an IRL one day of it.
That'd be cool.
If I snap my leg in half because I haven't skated in 7 years, 8 years.
A truly wrecked moment.
It will be. It'll be a disgusting moment. That's what it will be.
So it's kind of cool, again, that really kind of brought us together as well over time. We started off, kind of communicating through an older Discord that we met. We had some friends that were hey, we're, promoting each other, trying to build up community, and we met each other in there, and they had lots of late nights in VCs just discussing games and stuff that we liked. Again, that really bonded us, and Chicken Neck as well. He was also a part of the Discord and really helped kind of bring the glue for us three together for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean we clicked like that.
Yeah.
We started talking. Next thing I know, we're in VC every night, talking every night. And then eventually, I was just sitting here and I was like, we be having these crazy gaming conversations. And I'm like, why the hell are we not recording this and making a podcast?
Truly.
We would have 2, 3, 4 hour gaming discussions. And I'm like, we got to talk about this. We got to let people hear.
Just amongst ourselves at times, too. It would just be us there until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, our eyes pouring down, I really should go to bed. And then somebody bring up a topic and be like, all right, never mind, I'm awake again. All right, let's go.
Hold on, let me get a sip of coffee. We'll get this discussion going, boys.
Yeah, it really helped bring us together, and I think that it's done a great means for our friendship over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, we even own a Discord now together, and it's awesome.
It really helped us bring new people into it as well. Now we've got all these new friends that we bring into the Discord, and they get to learn a bit. And again, I do a lot of tech help and trying to help everybody else kind of get their feet wet into the world of it as well. So again, hopefully at some point it expands even further, and the podcast, maybe it can bring in more friends that we have not yet met. So if you guys are out there, hit that sub button. We want you here.
Damn right. Let's go.
All right, let's move into our first real gaming topic of the day. So this is a big, heavy one. Obviously, there's been a lot of outputs putting out information on this, but let's get our own opinion on it. So obviously, Microsoft has a very, very large deal attempting to go ahead to buy Activision. This week, currently, they've been in court with the FTC, trying to come to some sort of agreement that they are able to reach with them that allows them to make the purchase. Right now, the merger is in question because of a lot of heavy topics that are surrounded by legality and the process of buying a company and how that affects other large companies such as Sony and Nintendo. But what are your thoughts currently?
My thoughts are, damn, I don't know, man. It's they're trying to fight it, and they know they're not going to win against Microsoft. Let's be real here. The FTC has the worst track record in history of court cases. They lose every one.
For some context, for those that don't know, the FTC is a company that deals within the background of legal fairness. So if a company was to buy another company, and in this situation specifically, if Microsoft was to buy Activision, how would that affect the profits and the consumer basically for Nintendo and Sony going forward? So if something like their acquisition of Bethesda currently, obviously they just bought them, and now seeing how Starfield has kind of played out, now it's going to be exclusive to Xbox, and the fear going forward is that other titles that are under the Activision banner, such as, again, Call of Duty or anything you might see from Blizzard, could then be held as a Xbox exclusive in the future. Sorry.
Yeah. But the reason Microsoft is doing this is quite simple. Sony has, in this legislation here, they admitted they were paying game companies off to not put games on Xbox. So Microsoft, in turn, what happened is Microsoft saw Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, both big games. Sony paid off Bethesda. God damn, I can't say it. I never can say the word, guys. Bethesda. Guys, I'm from the South, man. Our voices are different. But they paid off them to not put those games on Xbox. But Microsoft saw Starfield, and they were like, no, we cannot because Starfield was originally going to be a PS5 exclusive. I mean, that was what it was going to be. And Microsoft says, we can't have it. We cannot let that game go and not get it. It will destroy us. So they went and bought them. And it's like a back and forth thing. Microsoft is trying to buy Activision Blizzard to compete with Sony paying off other game companies to not put games on the Xbox. So they're just having to buy everything just so they can have some games because Sony's buying them all. Like Square Enix with Final Fantasy. I mean, why? Dude, I don't understand Square Enix's process there, because they could have sold double to triple the amount of the game if they were to release it on other consoles. It makes no business sense to me. But I guess Square Enix hates Microsoft and PC, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess they just hate them.
It's this weird position because when you look at it again, like obviously Microsoft is a very, very large company in itself. And again, the production of Windows and having games be available for Xbox and be available on the Game Pass that is also on PC brings up the question of how exclusive do we call exclusive now? Because it's not like it's systematically only on one console. It is not just one console. You are still being able to play these games on PC. And it's been like that for a couple of years now. So it can't be really said that like PlayStation is not choosing not to reform to the same background. Again, with PlayStation, yes, they've had a couple of ports that have been brought over to Steam recently, and like Epic Games that have allowed you to be able to play like The Last of The Last of Us
Yeah.
remaster and Horizon and like God of War, or at least the initial remake of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, like it's not like all of their games are also brought over to PC. There is certainly a level of console exclusivity, meaning you have to buy a PS5 to be able to play these titles. Xbox's merger is in a way still more fair than PlayStation's aspect of exclusive rights. And again, you brought it up. Again, it's not like it's a fresh idea. This has been in play for almost a decade. If we go back to games that have been released, again, they've had, whether it be timed exclusive content that has been on the PlayStation, like again, most recently I can think of would be like the Avengers, with holding Spider-Man to Sony's console and then not releasing it to like Xbox or PC, I think, as well. So it's not like it's this fresh thing. And I find it funny because, again, in court, like Jim Ryan, who's the executive background for Sony, has gone and said again, like they feel like it's not really unfair of Xbox to buy Activision, under the sense that, it is what it is, really. Now, again, that tweet that he initially put it out has been deleted since, so if you try to find record of it, you'll have to go back and kind of see the backlogs of proof that have said that. But it was said. And then the FTC has made so many arguments towards this topic that are very, very far-fetched by comparison to like the proof in the pudding that is actually available. Being like, okay, well, you're going to basically limit cloud gaming. And cloud gaming in itself is very few and far, I would say, for the mass amount of people that are getting into gaming now or have been a part of gaming since its beginning. It's not like cloud gaming is truly going to affect the sales of these games. Like, they're still going to be bought on consoles, they're still going to be bought on PC as a part of the game stores that are available. So I'm a little confused with some of the points that they made as counter arguments for like how it's actually affecting the sales of these things for people that are marginalized by like cloud gaming. That makes no sense to me, in a sense.
No, I mean it really doesn't. I mean, the world's not ready for cloud gaming. I mean, most people got like this crap internet still. They cannot cloud game. All right, let's be honest.
It's
I got
true.
like pretty good internet, and every now and then I'll get some fuzziness when I'm trying out some games on cloud before I download. But as long as you got decent internet, most of the time it runs pretty smoothly. It's actually pretty good. Like, I've played plenty of games on it, and it's pretty nice if you got good internet. But most of the world does not have good internet yet,
Mm-hmm.
so it's unplayable. So it's nowhere close to being a viable source of gaming yet. I can say that.
It's so weird. Again, like, and the FTC had a couple of like other major points, being like, okay, well, let's take a look at Game Pass and like the success and the failures that are brought up from Game Pass. Now, I will agree with them that, publishers that put their games out on Game Pass are limited by the amount of sales, obviously, if a game's going to be available for, a subscription price. But in saying that, these companies that are putting their games on Game Pass are doing it for a reason. It's being done so that it can be reached out to an audience that doesn't want to pay a full price entry to a game that they may not like. So, at the end of the day, whose decision is it for them to say that that's not fair to the publishers, but the publishers themselves that are also giving them the okay to put it on there? It's not like Microsoft's being like, okay, when you release this game, we want it on Game Pass. These companies are openly putting their game on there because they know that it's going to reach an audience. It
Well,
makes no sense.
Microsoft actually pays for their production cost when they put it on Game Pass. So
Exactly.
basically, they're breaking even as soon as they put it on Game Pass. And then if somebody plays it and they like it and they just don't have the time, and then it goes off Game Pass, they're going to go buy it so they
Exactly.
can go finish the game. And
A lot of these
that's the
games that come
problem.
out on Game Pass are usually monetization based anyway. Like, they're going to have DLCs, and you're not going to get that as a part of the Game Pass. So if you get the game and you're like, wow, this is great, you're going to be opted to paying whatever incentive it is to get the extended copy of it or get the extra, costumes or whatever you might have in your game that you're playing. But again, it does offer some sort of incentive for the publishers that getting it on that subscription is going to be much better than putting it out on potentially a wholesale product and then suffering because nobody wants to pay the full price.
Yeah. I mean, it's a win-win putting your game. If you're a small publisher, it's a win-win putting your game on Game Pass. I mean, you're getting exposure, you're getting your full production costs paid for. I would do it instantly. If I designed a video game tomorrow, I would be calling Microsoft, please put my game on there. Please.
Yes.
Come on.
Why
Do
wouldn't
it.
you want that? Honestly.
Do it, please.
And I think that brings it to the basically the bread and butter of this entire court case, which is again the sale of Call of Duty being included with Activision. Now agreements have already been placed for there to be a 10-year lapse of time that it would still maintain the multi-console background, and then at some point if they do choose to, maybe Xbox does, have the capability of then having it be an exclusive to its own console. Now, obviously, Call of Duty being one of the largest IPs that have been brought out across gaming in the last, 15 years, especially with the surgence of the BRs and the Warzone and everything else they offer, it would be a absolutely colossal loss for PlayStation if they decided to, basically lose it at once. Now, in saying that, having a 10-year gap does give them a lot of time to produce a title that could be in par with Call of Duty. Now, obviously, it's going to have that history that people expect from a Call of Duty game, but if you've got 10 years of time to produce a game, you're telling me you can't come up with something that in the meantime? Medal of Honor's out there, you got Killzone, you've got Black, you've got games that have been out there in history that have done very well in competition to Call of Duty during those years. Go back and revisit them and try a couple of things, and maybe you can get something working, especially with Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor is, again, it's very much the same title as Call of Duty in a lot of sense. It's just, again, it's underproduced because it doesn't have as big of a publisher behind it. Now, if you were to throw Sony behind it, and if they went and bought them, then, that's a really good way of being like, okay, well, you can have Call of Duty. Now we've got this brand new version of Medal of Honor, and it fucking slaps, or Rainbow Six or something. I mean, it's just makes no sense to me.
It's be competitive. Quit being lazy and be competitive. Like if Microsoft wants Call of Duty, they're going to get it. I mean, PlayStation bought all those studios so they could have God of War,
Spider-Man,
Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man. I mean, and then you got all these IPs Sony has that are just wasting away. I mean,
there's a lot of games they produce that have been skyrocketing sales. If you look at Bloodborne, if you look at Spider-Man, if you look at Demon Souls remake, again, they did extremely well. And then, again, what do? They decide to do the complete opposite of what I think is positive reinforcement for these games by instead being like, okay, well, let's go revisit a game that was okay 20 years ago and remake it instead of coming up with fresh ideas. And they just keep on doing it. And that's not, I can't even say that it's just a Sony thing. That's a lot of companies, including Xbox and PCs, that
Nintendo does it all the time.
Instead of coming up with fresh ideas, they choose to backpedal and go back on games that they know will be successful because they were successful, and playing on the retro fans or those that are kind of living up for the nostalgia of getting back into gaming, but not maybe under the idea that there's this new game that entices them because they have these new features or these new mechanics or new storylines that we have already, potentially revisited. So it leaves us in a sore spot as gamers as well, because again, if we take away a game from a company, it forces them to come up with new ideas. So I do think that obviously the loss of Call of Duty would be significant if it was done up front, but over the course of 10 years, you've got too much time to play with at that point. Just start coming up with new things.
Yeah. I mean, nobody needs Last of Us remade 3 times. Let's be honest.
When a game comes out for 3 consoles generations, that's too many generations. I agree.
But no, yeah, I mean, 10 years is plenty of time for them. I mean, but I don't see Microsoft ever taking Call of Duty off it because they're going to make too much money off of it, leaving it
Yeah.
on every console. They're not going to. They don't care about Call of Duty. Microsoft, I think, wants Activision Blizzard so they can bring out like new Crash Bandicoots, new what else they got? New Spyro the Dragon. I mean, that's what I want. See, this is the whole reason I want them to buy them because Activision Blizzard are not doing anything with the retro titles. They're not making any new games for them. Like those are awesome freaking games. Like a new Spyro for the Series X or PC. That'd be sick.
But
I'd love to see it.
I agree again, and just not just another Spyro, but like revitalize the series from the ground up.
Reinvent it. And that's the thing, though. I'm also talking about Microsoft right now. I heard that it's very disappointing, everybody. But damn, what I was gonna say? The shooting game, Perfect Dark. It's not looking too well. It's in development hell.
It is. It's been in development hell for years.
And it's even worse now. So it's probably going to be a few more years before we see that bad boy. It's disappointing. Oh.
All right. Well, we've bashed, the FTC and the gaming industry as a whole for a little while. We'll move forward now into good news for the gamers that do want to try some new experiences. So we've kind of skimmed over some games that have been touched on for trailers from the Game Fest that have been in the last month. I think that we might want to just go over a couple that we might have missed. Recently, there was a brand new trailer put out for Cookie Cutter, which is a Metroid-Vania style 2D platformer, and it is honestly one of the cooler games I've seen provided from a third party for this year. Obviously, the whole Metroid-Vania style games have been, hit up a ton in the last couple years, but I've never seen one that chooses to go so flashy and yet so ultra violent at the same time. So
I mean, I was sitting here watching the trailer again right now, and this game looks like one of the funnest things I've ever witnessed in my life that I would want to play. Like, it's a game that you sit down and just have a blast playing. You don't even care what happens. You just sit down and look at these visuals and just have a blast playing it, slicing and dicing everything in your sight. It's phenomenal.
I mean,
looking.
You get, just for context for you guys out there, so you play as this character named Cherry, who is like a android brought up by this doctor, and then the doctor is taken away by the villain of the game, and at that point you are on a absolute revenge scheme. So you get these different items that you can use to fight the various, enemy types in the game. You get a guitar, you get a chainsaw, you get a motorcycle, what looks to be like some laser beam arms. There's lots of really cool boss fights, and like in the same sense that you would go through like God of War, for instance, and you get to the end of the boss fight, and once you kill him, you get this really cool interaction of a death scene, like Kratos like smashes him over the head with his axe or whatever. There's a lot of that in this game, and while it is a very cartoony style game, like I said, the ultra violence brings it. There's tons of blood if you're into that kind of thing, but the colors and just the whole cyberpunkish kind of aspect to it is really fun to watch. I'm definitely going to give that a play when it comes out.
Oh, most definitely. And I like how it's got the Metroid style map.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got the whole map there, and you got to go and just explore back and forth. It's just it's looking good. It's looking very, very promising. It's going to be probably a day one play for me.
Coming out in Q3 of 2023, so I wouldn't expect too much of a wait on it. Definitely go check out the trailer, guys. It will be worth your time. In other news today, we did miss one of the games I kind of wanted to go over during the Nintendo showcase we went over a week ago, and I mentioned it at the end of the stream that I had this game I kind of wanted to wait a little bit more information on. I'm not going to hold that back anymore. I do want to talk about this one. So we got a trailer during the showcase for the Headbanger Rhythm Royale. and I was instantly brought into it as a fan of the like Guitar Hero, Rock Band / Mario Party titles. It's so much of all of it slammed into one with a really nice Fall Guys coat of paint on top of it. It looks so much fun.
I mean, you're playing as pigeons in these mini games, and it throws rhythm in there, and it's just it's so fun. Like it's a game you can just sit there and play with everybody. Have a party night with your buddies.
Yeah.
It just oh man, it's a fun time. It looks like a very very fun time.
I can't
Like a
imagine
Mario.
it's going to be expensive either. It doesn't look like it's going to be like
Nah.
a super expensive title. So, I mean, if you can get it on the cheap and then, get a couple friends to play with it, it is a BR, which is kind of weird for a title such as this. But again, it is following in suit with the Fall Guys fashion of, you knock somebody out and you carry on. But the rhythm games that are there, like there's like rap sections where you have to like get the words right and go in a different direction with your C stick to I guess get the word, or like the more Guitar Hero style, press the A B Y button to kind of get the rhythm in time and get certain sounds out. Oh my god, it just looks like so much fun.
I mean, it's 30 people. 30 people. You could play with 30.
30 people. So if you got 30 friends, guys, you know what you and 29 other people need to do. Got to go out and get this game.
Is get this game, pick your pigeon out, and battle, and have a blast doing it. I mean, you just sit here and you definitely got to. There's 23 mini games, so you got like a very good variety of games there to keep you busy for a while.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll add more in later dates, just like the Fall
Oh
Guys
yeah,
updates
oh yeah.
have always done, have been providing other things. It's going to be out on PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch. I haven't seen a announcement for the Xbox at this time, but I would hope that it does come out for all consoles when it does release.
So
I
I'll be
hope.
playing on Switch. I'll be playing on Switch.
I will too, just because I want to be able to play it on the go.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Sitting at the doctor's office.
oh, for sure. What are you playing over there? Oh, Doc, you got to try this one. It gets the rhythm going. All right, well, that's your cardio for the day. Um, with obviously a lot of gaming talk that we've done, we've never really dived into the film industry and its effect on, on games, or vice versa in this instance. We've never really talked about how the gaming industry has had such a large effect on the film industry, especially in recent years. We kind of touched on this last week when we talked about how Detective Pikachu was going to get its second title release for the Nintendo. And obviously, we've seen the introduction of like the Super Mario Bros. Movie come out here and have great success. Now, in saying that, we've also seen some other titles that have been announced recently that have shown that maybe not all video games belong in the film industry. And I think that that might be worth touching on today.
It all started with the original Mario Brothers movie, okay? I mean, there is a prime example of trying to do something different and failing miserably at it.
That movie is so bad. It is
It's
so bad. Honestly, when I seen that, I was like, "Wait, this is the Mario Bros." I'm sorry, what? Like the Goomba that they show you, or the Koopa? Oh my God, those costumes are like, if TMNT's initial movies were like slapped with a coat of ugly. And I don't think that those movies either are the greatest thing that have happened to movie history, but I mean, at least for the sake of them, they were okay.
They were okay. They were when I was a kid. They were freaking amazing. I went back and watched them. And I'm like, it's still all right. But a side note on the Headbangers rhythm game, it is coming on Xbox, PS5, Switch, and PC.
All
October 30th.
right,
I
massive
just looked it
multi,
up. It's right there. It's
awesome,
everywhere. It's everywhere.
good. I'm glad to
But
hear
yeah,
it.
I mean, there's some movies games that turn into movies that are good. I haven't personally watched the Last of Us TV show, but I've read the reviews and they're outstanding, outstanding reviews.
I
So
think that stands to say again that if you get a title that deserves a longer span of time, video games are made to be like extremely long, extremely long. experiences that can provide you something to do over the course of multiple days or weeks or months, to try and take something that is such a large thing and cram it into a 2-hour movie, it's almost next to impossible half the time. And I think that's why so many of these things end up failing. Because if you look at certain movies that have come out, such as, like, again, the Mortal Kombat movie, the Prince of Persia movie, the Max Payne movie, again, the list can go on. They all fail so hard because there's just so much context to lore in these things that need to be drawn out. And I think TV series can do that justice, because you do get like a 13, 14 episode season. You can go ahead, and if you're getting like an hour block per episode, you can get a lot more information across that makes the viewer feel like they're more connected to the characters and understand the ideas of why they do what they do, or even like just like the story itself. Because again, in certain titles, like again, Mortal Kombat, when you try to cram in like, okay, these are guys just killing each other, it's like, okay, that's great, but why? And then
yeah, you want to know the whole storyline of every character. I mean, unless you're already a hardcore Mortal Kombat fan like myself, no, the regular person's not going to go know why Scorpion and Sub-Zero hate each other.
exactly,
What do these guys hate each other for?
who are the Lin Kuei and why do we care?
Yeah. What's Liu Kang? What is he? Why has he got fire coming out of his hands?
Exactly.
What's going on here?
Johnny
Those movies
Cage.
are all right.
Johnny Cage is a movie star and he fights people. What? Like, again,
Yeah, but see, their bloodline, the Cage bloodline, is the only one that could beat Shinnok. If you didn't play the games, you wouldn't know that. They're super powerful. Like, Johnny Cage is actually a pretty powerful Mortal Kombat character because his bloodline unlocks the what's it called? Their powers whenever they
the Shadow
yes,
something. I know what you mean though.
yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Shadow powers and crotch punches, but I think that this all kind of ties to again, when we take a look at even newer releases that are coming out for this year or upcoming years, we have things like the Twisted Metal series, and based off that trailer alone, it was not a satisfaction to watch. Again, seeing these two guys kind of like basically hug and kiss each other and talk in the casino does absolutely zero justice to Twisted Metal as a game title, because obviously if you played that as a child, it's about Carmageddon. People are setting up vehicles to do like death races and blow each other up, and then in the trailer it's just two guys that are like softly singing a song together. It's just like, okay, well, Twisted Metal seems like it's not really up my alley until you get the second trailer where things are blowing up Michael Bay style, and then you're like, oh, never mind, this looks sick. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's what I want to see. Like, if I want to watch Twisted Metal TV show, I just want to see carnage, man. I don't even care about a storyline. Like, to be honest with you, I just want to see how much destruction can happen on beautiful CGI graphics and stuff. I just want to see the mass chaos that was the game. That's what the game was. The game was pure chaos.
yeah, exactly.
I want to see that live action chaos.
And that kind of brings me to my penultimate point of this entire topic, is that we got a new trailer this week, guys, for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's coming out from Blumhouse Studios. This has been in production for almost 8 years. Now, I understand there are a lot of people that are deeply ingrained into the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, and for anyone that doesn't know, again, it's like a very jump scare style game. You're playing as a night guard in the first couple titles, and you're, watching animatronics and making sure that, they don't come attack you. Now, obviously, this is a very basic outline of what it is and deeply ingrained within the game. There's all this story about, like, why the animatronics are angry and how, like, they abduct children and they, eat their souls. And this turns into, like, a whole manifestation of this guy's, like, dreams, essentially. But going into the movie trailer, it very much seems like it's your atypical horror movie style thing. Like, it's scary monsters and, you're just trying to survive, which it makes me think it's going to end up being a lot of the movies and titles that we just talked about, and it's going to fall flat on its face. And it kind of seems like for the fans that are of the series of the game, they've already come to realize this as well just by seeing the trailer. And I can't say that I myself have played all the titles of Five Nights at Freddy's and can be like, yeah, well, I can definitely see where the Easter eggs here, and here are. But as a basic viewer that might want to go watch this movie, I don't feel like you're really going to get an understanding of anything about this game title whatsoever at the end of the day.
Let's see, look, this is how I look at video game movies. Go in not expecting anything. And then when you're pleasantly surprised, like in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, like that was one of the first video game movies that I actually took the chance on to go watch it there, because Sonic, as you can tell, is like my favorite video game character, right? And I went in there, I was like, this is probably going to suck, but it's Sonic. I got to go watch it. And it actually turned out to be a pretty decent movie. And I think all companies need to realize you just got to base the movie off the game. Don't try to change anything, and just make the lore what the video game was, and just keep it there.
I also think the fans did a lot of justice to Sonic, because again,
Yes,
the initial like CGI, put off was like extremely off-putting to Sonic as a character. So having the fans be available to, view these things before they come out to the public and make interjections about things that are really going to bother the fans of the series is always a good idea for these people when they're making titles. Make sure you have a good understanding of the topic that you're making show on. Because if you take a look at things like now The Witcher, obviously they're removing Henry Cavill from the series, and Henry was a massive fan of the game, and he was getting upset with the director over the changes from the lore. And then the director is like, well, this is my show type of situation. I'm going to make it what I believe should be. Now, obviously, the director's got a vision, and the fans are going to have a vision. Now, Henry being a large part of the actual gaming background of it and having an understanding of how that kind of works, I still think that you should have kept him around. He really had an understanding of Geralt as a character and really embodied him as, what it is. To take him out of the series now and then put in another character, I feel like it's once again going to do one of these things where they're like, it's not really The Witcher anymore. Now it's just a Netflix series.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. People watch TV shows and movies because they like the actor that's playing it. And you start switching stuff around, half your fan base is gonna leave. Like Superman. Henry Cavill was awesome Superman, but James Gunn wanted to move Superman to a more lighthearted version of himself, which is what he is anyway. Lets you go into,
the darker ones, yeah.
Like, yeah, the darker side of Superman, like the hardcore stuff. But it's just you're tampering with your fan base, and
playing a dangerous game when you do that.
It's very dangerous. You don't. I mean, it's like Rex said about Sonic. I was one of the people that wrote in. I'm not going to lie. I wrote in and said, this is an abomination. Fucking change it. And I did, man. I put it in all caps when I sent it in. I was like, this is an absolute abomination of Sonic. Do not release this. I was pissed when I saw that trailer, man. I was like, get the freak out of here with that. Why? You're trying to make him look like an actual hedgehog that you could find in the wild of Great Britain, and like it's not what he is.
Yeah.
He's a video game character that's like a
he's blue.
Yeah,
he's blue.
Hedgehog.
Guys, when have you ever seen a blue hedgehog? If you've ever seen a blue hedgehog in real life, send me an image because I need to see this. Otherwise, I think we should keep Sonic the way he is, wearing them big red shoes.
Yeah, and Shadow's coming in the next one. Let's go. Oh, it's going to be so good.
All right, so let's dive in. I know, again, you might not know all of the specifics behind this update, but again, we did get a Diablo 4 update, guys. That was a pretty big one for this week. For anybody that was waiting on hot fixes to kind of fix some optimization issues, they did address a couple of things to try and make the game run a little more stable. So if you've been running into any closures or issues related to your graphics card, basically about to explode, maybe this will help you kind of get through the game a bit easier. And we did get a couple of buffs to character styles. So again, if you were playing the Necromancer, or if you were playing the Druid or the Barbarian, I do know there was a lot of stuff that was added to these characters to kind of help streamline the XP growth process by adding the nightmare dungeons having additional XP, as well as the ability to straight up teleport when you activate a sigil, so you can go straight to the nightmare dungeon rather than having to travel by horseback or, walk your ass halfway across the game to get to where you need to be. Nice additions to a game that will indefinitely end up seeing 55,000 more updates in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I played after the update with my Necro, and I'm gonna be honest, I felt weaker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I walked into a regular dungeon. I'm level 44, and I just got decimated. I wasn't doing damage to anything. I got wiped clean with a regular dungeon by myself, and I'm like, I mean, my corpse explosions was not doing it, and I have my gear set up to power those up and stuff. And I'm like, where's the fix at here? I mean, the Necro's already weak as piss, and you did nothing to bring him up to like
par
the rogue freaking level. I mean, you at least let's get a halfway balance up there. I mean, damn.
I think that you'll see a lot of that stuff later on. Potentially the Season 1 update, you'll probably see some additional stuff there. I do know that there's more down the pipeline that they've already said is being addressed. So hopefully, again, like the minions will have some additional strength and stuff. But like you said, there are some classes that are just extremely overpowered by consideration. Yeah.
Like the sorcerer's ice.
Yeah.
It's unstoppable. It's unstoppable, man. It's ridiculous.
I mean, that was the class I chose at first. I was doing the ice sorcerer, and again, it clears so easily. All right, folks. Well, again, it is a bit of a shorter week this week, but we still appreciate you guys coming in. We're going to get ready to close out with our game deals of the week. If you'd like, Mr. Power, I will allow you to begin.
Well, guys, my game of the week this week is coming on the old Nintendo Switch, and it is a game. It's like an indie game, and it's called Inside, and it's like a black and white, side-scrolling puzzle game that is just a blast. It's kind of creepy. It's got a great storyline, and the puzzles in it are phenomenal, and it's beautiful. And right now it's on sale for $1.99. Okay, $1.99. So, just skip buying a Monster Energy for today, and buy Limbo. It's $2, and you'll have the most fun time for 8 to 10 hours. I think is what it takes, something like that. I don't even know if it's even that long. But the puzzles will keep you engaged the whole entire time, and it'll creep you out. Like it's got a little kind of like a little jump scares to it. You'll be jumping in puzzle. Next thing you know, something will go boom at you, and you're like, whoa. So it's a very, very solid indie game, and I highly recommend it.
It's got a great art style. It really does.
Yeah. And I mean, it won so many awards, too. I mean, it won like 100 awards. It's phenomenal.
Fantastic. All right, folks, that brings me to my deal, and I have a great classic from my own textbook. I greatly enjoyed this series. So, from the same developers that bring you Apex Legends, they offer their sophomore title, Titanfall 2, an action-packed, at times very witty and surprisingly emotional campaign that ties a lot of the lore from Apex now that is building on. And you get all the same guns that you might favor from the Apex title, such as the 301 and the R99, but you also get a host of new skills and abilities that didn't make their way into the Apex games just due to the fact they were either overpowered or just weren't able to be balanced well enough. So what really sets Titanfall away from the common FPS game is that they've released this amazingly fluid wall running and movement mechanic that very intricate, and you get these great Titan fights and outstanding multiplayer that is still active with players now adopting the North Star custom client that allows you to play custom game modes and expand even further on this already amazing experience. So, suit up pilots, Titanfall incoming.
Yeah, I mean, Titanfall 1 and 2 are both amazing. I mean, I played them both day one, loved them. I wish they'd make another one.
I do as well.
No, will they? No, because they got Apex, and they're not going to make another Titanfall. It's unfortunate. I mean, they could at least add like some mechs to Apex one day. Maybe an update. Then I might go back and play Apex. Then
It'd be fun. I'm still waiting on wall running to come to at least one character, and then I'll be happy with Apex as it is. All right, folks. Well, again, we really appreciate you coming out, and we will get to see you again, hopefully with the chicken neck on top of us next week. But until then, feel free to hit the like, the sub, and ring the bell so you don't miss anything in the future. We thank you again, and we're out.